What's going on, guys? It's Tunerda here, also known as Alex. Today on the DC Comics Weekly Show, we're going to be talking about some big stuff. First thing out of the way is the Flash leaks. So I don't think I'm going to be able to play the whole video because I think playing the whole video does get you striked. So we're going to try to be careful about that. I have seen John Campea cover this on his show and he seemed fine. So we're just going to show you some images here. So this is pretty big stuff. We got the spoiler alert in the background here. We don't know who that is right now, but we see Michael Keaton as Batman, the Flash in his new suit, and Supergirl. And she is in a very similar position to Superman in the Flashpoint. And right here you can see what appears to be Supergirl with the rest of the crew suited up. Now, she was living in similar conditions to the Superman we see in Flashpoint, but she's back on her feet and she's really feeling like Supergirl. Now, this was the best picture or best still I could get on the video of a good look at whoever this mysterious figure is. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's an alternate version of Wonder Woman. That way we'll have Batman, Super, man, girl, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, Wonder Man, whoever, I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting there. Then right here, just to really take it home that these are just concept art images, we get the same concept art that we saw during DC Fandom of last year. We have a scene here which I'm really hoping makes it into the movie. This is very cool imagery here. We have Supergirl looking out, looks like into the sunset with Flash there. Could this potentially be hinting at maybe their reality resetting, similar to Flashpoint? Who knows? Then this is the big reveal. The new suit. So he's got the golden boots. Everybody was really wanting the golden boots. And I just think he looks really cool. I really like that he's using yellow lightning now as opposed to the Zack Snyder armor. But I like the Zack Snyder armor too. I'm not knocking that, but I'm just glad they went with the gold boots and stuff. I think that looks really cool there. Then you can really see here the spoiler alert in the background, so you don't know who it is. But this is obviously like very rough concept art because it looks like this probably isn't going to be the final version of Michael Keaton's Batman. Because when we saw him filming, he was wearing a wig and it was gray, and so they're not trying to sell him as a younger Bruce Wayne. He's aged, so this is definitely rough here. And he doesn't have the black paint over his eyes either. But the big thing I noticed here was that he's got what appears to be his very first bat symbol. I hope that does not make it to the final cut whenever they've already moved past the concept art. But this is just the first looks we're seeing. So I hope that isn't what we end up having to settle with. If it is, I'll be fine with it. But I think, continuity-wise, if they're even going to try to save any continuity, they should preserve the symbol from Batman Returns because I think that looks amazing. Moving on from the Flash leaks, we see that James Wan is filming Aquaman 2, otherwise known as Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is coming from Discussing Film, who took it from James Wan's Instagram. I chose to go with this because it kind of fit the screen a little better. But basically, without talking about too much and speculating too much about what could happen, we're just gonna get this out of the way right here. Amber Heard is going to be in the film. Now, you can take that information and run with it any direction that you want, but that's obviously relevant information that people wanted to probably would want to be made aware of. So yeah, Amber Heard is going to be in the film. She hasn't been fired or suspended. There were some rumors that she was possibly leaving the project, that they were possibly going to recast her, and for some reason replace her with Emilia Clarke, which is I love Emilia Clarke. She's amazing. But she already has a role in a Marvel show, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't recast Amber Heard with Emilia Clarke whenever things are looking a little too busy there, and it seems like they're really doubling down. If you've seen any of Amber Heard's recent posts, she's all in on Aquaman, so that's that there. Now, if you've been living under a rock or you're not on Twitter, which I would say good on you, You've probably missed this bit of information here, but Superman and the Authority is a comic book miniseries coming from Grant Morrison, a very, very talented, widely renowned comic book writer. Now, the interesting thing about Grant Morrison is he's known for Superman. I've seen some takes where some people don't like his stuff. Some people do. That's everything. But this question specifically, out of all of this interview, this question here, out of all of this question here was what really got people talking. So this book is coming out of a time when we're seeing a lot of authoritarian Superman and Superman analogs. I can't stand when people say Superman's. Just say Superman. Analogs. What do you think is behind this trend of subverting Superman into something more sinister? Now, this was the big bit of information people took from the whole interview. So he's basically referencing Injustice Superman, but he says it's something I've come to terms with and pared down to it coming down to the patriarchal structures that have been oppressing us, and Superman can easily be made to be representative of that. This dad-like figure looking out for us can be made authoritarian, but I think that's a mistake. And then it seems like this, along with this, is a kind of separated. If you're talking about other versions of Superman, I've seen some people some people think he's talking about another version of Superman, Ultraman, stuff like that, but no. He is obviously talking about Injustice Superman. He says, I think the idea that Superman would react to the death of Lois Lane by becoming a tyrant is ridiculous. My mom and dad died, and I didn't become a tyrant. If I can handle it, Superman can handle it. So that got a lot of people talking online. Some people disagreeing with him, some people agreeing with him. That's his opinion, so I don't think Superman and the Authority is going to veer off into that direction. And if you read the interview, he kind of goes into that. So you're not going to be getting Injustice Superman. Superman isn't going bad. He did say they approached him wanting Superman to go a little bit more authoritarian, but it's not going to be like evil authoritarian. It's going to be more like kid friendly. I don't know. It's going to be more family friendly authoritarian, like just doing what's best for you. Not out of bad intentions, not wanting to take away your ability, blah, 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 but, just doing the right thing type of authoritarian. And before we get into the big Tom Taylor stuff with Batgirl, here's a Tom Taylor interview. And he is obviously going to be taking Superman, son of Kal-El, and he's taking over Jonathan. So that's going to be very interesting to see what he does there. But here he was asked about what it was like writing for Superman in the 21st century and how is that different from what his dad can really do. Like, how is Jonathan going to be our Superman and be unique and cool and hip and with the times? So even Tom Taylor echoing some of those sentiments that Grant Morrison said. Tom Taylor said, and you can read this whole thing if you want, but this is just relevant. He says, it's the question that will hang over the series. If you're one of the most powerful people on the planet, how far do you take that? What do you accept before stepping in? I've explored one side of this question in Injustice, but that's a story I never believed in because for me, Superman is incorruptible. Echoing words from Grant Morrison. He has to be. I've written the story of absolute power corrupting absolutely and a world held together by a fist of steel. Now I get to write something better, something with the power to change the world with a heart full of hope. So, yeah, basically, once again confirming Jonathan Kent is probably not going to go in the same direction we saw in Future State Superman of Metropolis, where he kind of had the Bottle City thing going on. So that's good. That's good. I know some people are going to be really happy to hear about that. So I definitely wanted to let you guys know about this before we hop into the Tom Taylor Batgirl Nightwing news. So, finishing up with news about Nightwing and Tom Taylor and where he's taking that series before we get into my reviews or thoughts of some of the DC comics that have come out this week. Basically, the first issue of Nightwing has sold out again. So, they're going back for the third printing of Nightwing. This is from Riley, who is doing... I like the Harley Quinn artwork. It's not my particular cup of tea. But, it's definitely unique and cool, so I got to give credit where credit's due. And then here's the big bucks. So, Batgirl is back. That's right, Oracle is no longer Oracle. Or she could be going back to Oracle. She flip-flops. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're saying. Barbara Gordon Beck as Batgirl. She was just Oracle, and I remember, whenever she sat down in the chair, it did feel a little forced to me personally whenever she goes to sit down in the chair, but she got to give her chip a break and all that. So this is her back as Batgirl, and the new suit. This is once again, this is artwork. This is the new design. I definitely think the black won't be so solid whenever it actually gets onto the page, and you're definitely gonna get a good, it won't just be pitch black. So I've seen some complaints about that. I definitely do think it's really cool. I like the cape. I like the cowl. It really gives me bat vibes, and I like the black lipstick as well. Now, the thing that I really took away from this, and that some other people are taking away from this, is that it looks similar to her new 52 design, but upgraded. So, recently, there's been some talk online about her new 52 design being a Batgirl suit for a young Batgirl. And they have that new 52 Batgirl design in the Harley Quinn television series, more or less. But for this one, for Batgirl's big return to DC Comics with Nightwing after a few months off, they really wanted to mature her and really make her feel like she was a Batgirl and not Bat Little Girl, I guess. I definitely think there's room for her to graduate to Batwoman like any day. I mean, if we're gonna have two Batman with Jace and Bruce, we could definitely have two. We could have two Batwomen. We got like three Batgirls at the moment. We could have two Batwomen with Kate and Barbara here. It feels weird just calling her Batgirl. I feel like she should have graduated into Batwoman by now. But yeah, we got some really cool notes here from Bruno himself. So that's really cool there. This is the covers for 84, 85, 86, and of course when you put them all together, they look really beautiful and cool. So you got Nightwing and Batman, Batgirl and Nightwing, and then the Batgirls, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, Tim Drake, and Nightwing. So, like I said, the new Batgirl design looks a lot better whenever you actually get it on the page and got all the shading and the coloring and everything in. So that looks cool. Now, the big takeaway for me personally here has got to be the Batgirls coming back. So you saw, I think it was Detective Comics at the end of that, in the Penguin backup story, they show up to basically have a short dialogue with Penguin, and then they fly off, well, they grapple off. So maybe this is where they ended up. Maybe they were being called by Barbara to help her gear up to help Nightwing out. So this is definitely cool, and this is going into Fear State. This is working into Fear State. And it's going to be a big, cool event. Everybody's going to be involved. I'm still hoping, because, Future State is optional. Future State is just a possible future. But I really hope that Batman is presumed dead. And he has to live like a rat. And it's going to be terrible. And things are going to be awesome. So that's some stuff there. Once again, really cool stuff that I really think is awesome. Although, if I do have to nitpick, I gotta say, unceremoniously breaking up Stephanie and Tim off screen, harsh, DC, harsh. Now, I really enjoyed, the last time the big takeaway from the Injustice comic book, if I can say anything about that, is that I enjoyed the multiverse hopping, and I enjoyed the Tim Drake and Stephanie Brown stuff. If Young Justice would have kept going on, Stephanie Brown and Tim Drake would have been the heart of that comic for me personally. I didn't care for the Amethyst stuff, but yeah, I think it was a big mistake. But that's my opinion, and you're coming here, you're going to get my opinion with it. And, I respect whatever decision they decide to go with it. I just hope one day they can come back together. And to harp on the Tom Taylor comments about Batgirl, we're definitely going to get into a more controversial territory, but this is what I like to do here. So, after revealing the Batgirl costume, we had some comments, and Tom Taylor basically confirms she's been Batgirl for over a decade. We don't own the character. He understands the concern about Oracle, but this was a decision made a decade ago by a company he does freelance for, so he's probably the wrong target for the anger of this individual. And then moving on from there, he said whenever he had the ability to control the story, he had her as Oracle. So without getting too deep into stuff, it was basically a confirmation that, yes, dude, yes, I understand. You don't want Batgirl to be Batgirl because of the controversial, crippling, and it was sad, and we get it. But it's not my responsibility. I can't do anything about it. It has a way. I think basically what he's saying is he didn't have a choice because it was coming from DC, so he had to work it into his story somehow. So there's going to be a story reason for it, and it's going to make sense. But he also says here, at no point do we dismiss or ignore this. Anyone reading will know it's the reason Babs hasn't been in costume in our Nightwing. There's a specific reason she puts on the suit in Fear State, and this was discussed when we built protection into the costume. So basically, this is back reinforcement structure under the cape, probably helping her back and everything. We're protecting the chip, but this is interesting stuff. So yeah, that's my thoughts on all the Tom Taylor, Nightwing, Batman, Batgirl, Fear State stuff coming out recently. Alright, so here we are in the last segment of the day. Normally we would talk about Superman and Lois, but they're taking a break for a couple of weeks, which gives me some time to talk about some of the comics that have come out this week. And for DC, I only read two. They didn't have much this week. It was an off week. They had the Catwoman annual, but I didn't really pick that up because I haven't been reading Catwoman. I'm not really feeling Catwoman. I read some of Catwoman, but eh. Anyways, here we have the Teen Titans Academy Annual and the Green Arrow 80th Anniversary. We're going to get into Teen Titans Academy first, and as you guys know, if you've been keeping up with the channel, I kind of don't want to go into like the panels and the pages and stuff, because I don't feel like it's like kind of spoilerish territory. Like, I want to make you want to read the books yourself. And I feel like when you're reading a comic, one of the big hooks is the art. So if I just show you pages from a comic book that I want you to check out, I think it will kind of ruin the experience. Unless I really like it, and then I will just kind of shove that into your face like I did the Roy Harper page in Infinite Frontier. But for this video, I think I'm going to hold off on showing too many pages. I might show a few. So I'm thinking maybe 4 pages per comic to kind of get a preview, a good idea of what you're getting. But basically, one of the big takeaways I got from Teen Titans Academy, and I'll be talking about 4 of the big takeaways I've had, well, 3 really, is some Stitch backstories. So other than the little pages and there'd be a page every now and then that kind of touched on some lore, like make it feel like a yearbook entry. We got some Stitch backstory, and I really like it, really making me care about the character. How he can't sleep and all that. I think it's definitely interesting territory. Also implying maybe Dr. Fate is his dad? I don't know. I'm probably reading too much into it, but like he says, Fate sent him there to learn what it means to be a hero. So, I think we're definitely going to get into interesting territory with Stitch. I definitely think he's the most interesting new character besides Red X. Now we're going to look at the big Beast Boy and Raven information that we got. So off screen, I know I said I wouldn't spoil too much, but I guess I've made my bed and I decided to show some pages, so let's get into it. Off screen, she kind of had some dialogue, like internal dialogue, seeing some visions of future state, which once again could happen, could not happen. And I think she was a little grossed out by Robin and Cyborg fused. I mean, I'm a little grossed out by it too. But the big takeaway from this is that they are making Beast Boy and Raven canon. Yes, they are together again. I was so sick, just physically disgusted when she was into Wally, the new Wally, because I'm pretty sure he's like a kid. He was on the Teen Titans. He's a teen. He's like a minor. And if he's not a minor, he was recently a minor. I'm looking at Raven, and I know in the new 52 and Rebirth and stuff, it was like, yeah, she's a little younger maybe, but I'm just, ew, I don't know. I know, I don't want to see that. So it's funny how Beast Boy kind of remarks, maybe I should go back to Changeling because I'm not really a boy anymore. And it's a very sweet, touching moment between them that I really liked. Now let's move on to the next big page from Teen Titans Academy, and that is this bad boy right here. So we got more Red X, just a very cool page of him just busting in on kids' family life. And this is I think he said the first Red X, and then the second Red X is Nightwing. So the kid was thinking maybe Nightwing is the first Red X, but no. So, kid, you want the mask or not? And then we have him with the mask. So this kind of harkens back to Teen Titans Academy 1. I think it was. No, it was Infinite Frontier. And it shows him getting the mask. So this will continue in Teen Titans Academy 5. I'd say that's definitely interesting stuff there. Let's go ahead and pop this off the screen. But I'd definitely say that's interesting stuff there. And now let's turn our attention to the Green Arrow 100-page 80th Anniversary Spectacular. So as the name implied, this was really more of a collection of stories. I'm really only going to be just taking the time to acknowledge a few of them that I liked. So the one that I really liked the most was not this one. I would say this is definitely top 3. And that was him training with Ted Grant, aka Wildcat, but just hanging out with Black Canary. I thought this was really wholesome and awesome, and I liked their chemistry. The point of the story was basically to show that Black Canary could beat up Green Arrow, and Green Arrow getting training from Ted Grant. I really liked that, and the Black Canary stuff. I thought it was really cool. Moving on to my second favorite story, which is probably my first favorite. I'm a big Red Hood fan, as you know. So when you're talking Red Hood, when you're talking Red Hood, you're also talking Red Arrow. You're also talking Arsenal, and you're getting a lot of Arsenal in this story. In fact, I think Arsenal is the main character of this story. So it kind of gives you Arsenal's origin story of him being raised with the Native Americans, and then being taken in by Oliver Queen, and then being trained. And then Green Arrow goes off with Green Lantern. This was an iconic storyline that they're showing is still canon. And then you can see Roy Harper being addicted. Maybe Green Arrow was so mad because he was angry, but he was maybe pretending to be angry, but he was scared. And so you got some really cool stuff out of this story. I really liked it a lot. It had a optimistic ending. And I would say if you do pick this up, you should definitely pick it up just for that story because I really enjoyed it. Now, the last bit I will be showing is this story. Now, I'll be honest, I can't remember what happened in this. It had a really simple plot. So it was just basically Malcolm Merlyn going after Green Arrow and the family, or just Green Arrow, but you get Diggle, Emiko, Black Canary, and Green Arrow. So probably it was really good art. I really like the style here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Green Arrow 80th anniversary. I mean, there's not a lot to tell here. The stories were good, most of them. They were serviceable. There's only so much you can do in like 10, 15 pages. I feel like there's a really fan service story near the end where he's just fighting Green Lantern and Arsenal and others like that. And there's a story reason for it that makes sense, but I'm not sure if I really like the way it flowed. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Green Arrow, the 100-page anniversary. Now, the weirdest thing about the weirdest thing about this situation is that they seemingly, because Green Arrow's in the Justice League, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with Green Arrow moving forward, because I know he's going to be in other books, but I'm wondering if he's going to get his own ongoing, because I know him and Aquaman, and I just feel like they should have ongoings. So hopefully they get that sorted out. Also, I wanted to touch on this by the end of the video. There wasn't a lot of DC Comics this week. It was an off week, so next week's video, there's going to be a ton of DC Comics. I'm not going to be able to cover them all. You can see how long I took to cover 2. And I did show art to kind of give some more time to the video. But next week, I probably will only show like 1 page per comic. And I'll probably be covering a handful. So tune in. Stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed the video. I honestly thought this week was going to be a slow week for DC news. And I was holding off on publishing a video because, like I said, I wanted to be more weekly instead of twice a week like it was last week. So I'm really glad I was able to hold off and make a video when a lot of news was happening. So thanks for watching. If you have something to say, comment down below. And if you feel like it, subscribe. And of course, as always, please have a very, very, and I do mean very, good day.